Okay, what is going on, guys? Welcome to Stock Talk with Nico Criticos. Today, I'm very happy to do some stock analysis for MongoDB because this is a stock that I bought this year at a pretty good price. I bought 6 shares at $261, and now I am up a little bit over 30%. The only issue is I wish I would have bought more because this is kind of a smaller position for me. I should have bought more shares of this at the time. But I guess it's better to say that than to say I bought too much and I'm losing money, like I am with some other stocks. So this one was a good choice. I bought, 261. It was not quite at the bottom, but still at a good price. And they just reported earnings, so we're going to go over that and see what's going on with the stock. Is it a hold? Is it a sell? What's happening? So market cap of 26 billion. If we take a look at their earnings, they reported adjusted EPS of $1.32 from sales of 687 for Q1 of this year, and expectations were about $1.19, so nice beat there. Revenue of 665 million expected, so that was good. Earnings increased 32%, which these are important numbers. EP earnings was up 32%, sales was up 25% year over year. So things to note there is those are solid numbers. That's kind of right in the range of like better than normal, but not super extreme growth like some other companies. Those are just solid numbers that hopefully they can stay consistent with. The other thing to note is that EPS is growing at a nice clip faster than revenue is, which that's something you always want to see. That means, they're getting more efficient, margins are improving, etc. And the other thing to point out is it's interesting to see the analyst estimates for revenue growth was only 17% for this year and next year. And now that we see those numbers at 25%, that's why the stock is jumping up so much. And so I think, the stock is being really volatile after hours, but either way, I'm happy with whatever happens. And probably tomorrow it should have a good day too. It says we delivered better than expected results. And there's strong end market demand for the platform across enterprise use cases and emerging AI opportunities. The upcoming quarter, they're guiding for 731 million at the midpoint, which we can go ahead and see what they did for. So these numbers are a little bit off, but it's going to be a decent increase for 731 million. They were modeling for 700 million. Adjusted EPS is supposed to be $1.58 to $1.60, which was ahead of estimates of $1.30, which is really a nice beat there. And if we come down here, we can see MongoDB offers database software that stores unstructured data in flexible self-contained units called documents. Investors are typically most attuned to results for MongoDB's cloud database software offering called Atlas grew revenue 29% year over year compared to 29 and 30% in the previous quarter. So again, it's consistent and it's doing good. They noted that Atlas revenue didn't accelerate in a way similar to other high growth software like Snowflake and Datadog. Big deal. The company raised physical revenue guidance and overall offered a very credible start to its year. Overall, the results are solid and shares moving higher as the long-term story remains intact. Then we have, pullback, fears about AI disrupting software halted MongoDB stock. A lower than expected sales forecast also added to that concern. And now things are, kind of getting back on track here. What else do we have? That's pretty much it for that. Then we come over here. We're going to do some analysis on Gemini. Does MongoDB have a moat? Well, they have a highly durable moat rooted in developer mindshare and massive switching costs. Here we go again with the switching costs. If you watch my other videos, you know what my thoughts are about switching costs. But though its cloud backyard is heavily contested, the document database standard, this is the high switching cost. Unlike traditional relational databases like Oracle or MySQL that use rigid rows and columns, MongoDB is the pioneer of NoSQL document databases, which store data in flexible, blah, blah, blah structures. Once an enterprise builds a modern complex architecture, ripping it out and translating it is a huge thing. Okay, yes, and maybe that's true to some degree, but sometimes there's going to be a reason to do that. The free community server has over 500 million downloads. It is taught in almost every modern coding bootcamp and computer science program. This creates a massive ecosystem loop. Developers prefer MongoDB because they know it. Corporations select it because they're easy to hire engineers. And then the core platform, which is MongoDB Atlas, that's their fully managed multi-cloud database service. It handles the scaling, security, and maintenance automatically across AWS, Azure, and Google. Atlas has grown to represent 72% of total company revenue. And that's why, like it said, a lot of investors pay attention to that. What are the main growth catalysts? Well, for this past quarter, like we said, revenue is up 25%. Non-GAAP EPS was $1.32, which I always like to look at GAAP EPS, and in this case, there's a huge difference because this is GAAP EPS expected for this year, negative 50 cents compared to $5.84. Okay, so huge difference there. And then next year, it is supposed to be profitable on a GAAP basis, which is good. I do like to see that. And then we have the CEO raised this. I guess that would be, let's see here. Yeah, raised full year fiscal year 2027 revenue guidance to about $3 billion, which when these companies use different calendar years, that always is so confusing. See, so they're in calendar year 2027 right now. That's what's so confusing. And that's why on here it says, Q2 2026. I don't know. It's so confusing. I don't know why they can't just stick to the same calendar, but they raised EPS guidance to $6, which again, okay, on an adjusted basis, that's a little bit higher than what was expected. So they're doing good. And that's why the stock is, well, now the stock is going down after hours. Who knows? Well, whatever happens. Generative AI applications cannot function without vector search, the data technology that allows LLMs to remember context and fetch unstructured long-term memory. MongoDB embedded Atlas vector search directly into hyperscaler AI model gardens. As companies move forward from AI experimentation to actual deployment, MongoDB is capturing a massive slice of backend AI infrastructure spending. Mongo's RPO, which is remaining performance obligation, which is contracted revenue that hasn't been recognized yet, surged 88% to 1.4 billion, giving immense multi-year revenue visibility. They also launched recently to tightly regulated EU and Asia Pacific government banking sectors. This product unlocks heavily guarded enterprise data pools that MongoDB couldn't historically access. So, what are the projections on this? Well, again, we're looking at $26 billion, a forward PE of 54, which typically is high, but this company is growing pretty nice. Cash of $2 billion with barely any debt. That's really good to see. What else do we have here? Free cash flow is positive, which is nice, 600 million, and that's off of 2.6. I mean, so that's pretty solid. We could go look at these numbers. What's their margins? Again, they're not great yet. Price to sales. Let's look at price to sales is a 10, which is I don't know. That's okay. Free free cash flow yield is on a little bit. It's in a decent spot, 2.5% price to sales. So I don't know. Right now, for me, I'm kind of leaning towards just holding it. I'll probably just hold it. My goal for this year was to hold stocks into 2027, so that when I sell it, I don't have to pay taxes. But we'll see about that. If this gets overvalued, in my opinion, then maybe I will sell. But nowadays, with some of these stocks out there, AMD, Tesla, Palantir, the valuations can go to 200 times earnings nowadays, and the stock can keep going. So who knows? It's hard to even say when a stock's overvalued. And the same thing with undervalued too. Their stock's trading at 8 times, 10 times earnings, and it shouldn't be. So revenue growth is driven by Atlas consumption and AI vector search scaling. Expecting to sustain about whatever 17 to 20% CAGR over the next 5 years. Total revenue, blah blah blah. Data, okay. EPS growth growing at 24%. Great. Predicted EPS for 2031 is about $18, looking at about $700 a share, and that's in 5 years. So that would be a double up from today, which that's pretty good. So that's pretty much all I got on MongoDB. Like I said, I'm probably gonna hold this unless it was to get to, I don't know, maybe like $500 a share or something. But hopefully we see that in 2027. But that is my analysis for MongoDB. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I will see you in the next video.